All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's D to the Dre here, reporting to you live from Miami, Florida. So just a few things I want to go over here. I know it's been a long time since we last seen each other. I've been busy handling a lot of things with my music, getting ready for my first mixtape release. So thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for your patience and all that good stuff. So what I want to go over is the situation in Venezuela and Iran. All right, so boom, 5 months in or 4 months in, all right, there's still no humanitarian crisis in Venezuela. All right, Juan Guaido, the self-declared, president out of nowhere of Venezuela and the National Assembly is, has his back up against the wall now. And the legitimate attempted coup d'etat by America and its allies in Venezuela has failed. And, especially now that Russia and China has troops and military advisors and equipment on the ground in Venezuela. So it would behoove America to, back off and be like, all right, hands off Venezuela. That's all I'm saying. But the sanctions still continue. And, we're sanctioning Cuba, oil tankers and just cargo companies, any company that's enabling the Venezuelan legitimate government of Nicolas Maduro to operate as a government and a sovereign nation. Any company or organization or entity that supports that is up to be sanctioned or labeled as a supporter of, something bad or whatever, because you know how America is. All right, so yeah, that's basically it. So Russia and China has stepped in and has drawn a red line between their policies and American policies, and are basically gave them an ultimatum, like, yo, like, you know what I'm saying, you want to go at it? Let's go at it, son. You feel me? Like, this is ours. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't gonna come in here and make another mess like you did in Syria. That's basically what China and Russia is saying to us. But this time, it's in our backyard. So, like, damn, Trump, like, you really gonna let Putin and Xi Jinping, punk you like that? Can't do that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean. I'm just saying, like, this is how these warmongers are gonna look at this, and they're saying they've been saying this for like 5 months now. All options are on the table. All options are on the table. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, really, America don't got the balls to go in there head on. You know what I'm saying? It's 2019. You know what I'm saying? They gotta be a little more finessing about how they do shit, because everybody's so politically correct now. So they're gonna have to use Brazil and Colombia as a scapegoat to try to pursue military action in Venezuela, which again will most likely not happen, considering the fact that China and Russia are now big players in the game. All right, so I'm not gonna spend that much time on Venezuela this time around. Just know that Cuba and Russia and China are creating alternative methods of payment, so they can avoid U.S. sanctions. Because like the whole month of April, it was just sanctions on Venezuela. And, the central bank of Venezuela can't do nothing. The shipment of Venezuelan oil to Cuba is considered a crime. So it's like, everything like within the legitimate Venezuelan government, their operation and functioning is limited and tied by so many chains because of these American sanctions, because they want to oust Nicolas Maduro so bad. But Cuba and Russia are working ways around that so the Venezuelan economy can continue to try to, survive. All right, despite all these U.S. sanctions and, all this U.S. warmongering efforts. So on to Iran. All right. So while, unilateral U.S. sanctions have, been successful in terms of inflicting economic pain on Iran, this has also increased the momentum and efforts to move away from the dollar. All right, you hear that? All right. Even though these sanctions are hurting Iran economically, all right, on the flip side, it's going to force Iran and its business partners and other global oil purchasers to basically find other means to continue doing business without worrying about the U.S. dollar. All right, so what does that mean for our economy? It means inflation, high oil prices, you name it. All right, who's Iran's top clients for oil? All right, China, India, Saudi Arabia, South Korea. Oh shit, my bad. Not South Korea. All right, motherfucking Taiwan, Italy, Greece, Turkey, Japan. All right, these are the top like buyers of oil from Iran. All right, and another thing, all these oil are purchased in American dollars. You feel me? Like Europe, they pay 80% of their energy imports in U.S. dollars. All right, when only 2% of their imports are actually from the U.S. The fuck does that make sense? All right, so anyways, what I'm basically saying is we're basically preparing a war on Iran or against Iran, Israel and America. All right, like we don't want Iran to thrive. We don't want Iran to be sovereign or trying to be on its own and do things. So Iran has not attacked or been an aggressor to anybody since the 1700s, but they've been recognized as a terrorist sponsor since 1984, all right, by our government and other, world allies. So the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or the IRGC, is made up of 125,000 servicemen. So basically, look at the IRGC and Iran as our Marines, all right? So look at it like that. They were critical in fighting against ISIS in Syria. They engaged in about 20% of Iranian economics and business dealings, and they prevented much more refugee crises going into Europe. And they actually protected European officials from being assassinated by ISIS members. So if anything, IRGC has been a firm defender of sovereignty and fighter against extremism and terrorism, and actually, like having some good morale and something to stand for. And they've been celebrated for that. But because we want to go to war with Iran so bad, whether it's on our behalf or Israel's behalf or Benjamin Netanyahu, we basically have to like paint Iran as this evil enemy who's preying on our demise 24/7. But really, we're over here doing the same thing that we would do to Syria and Venezuela. Now we're doing it to Iran on a much more unprecedented level, to the point where we've labeled a part of their military as a foreign terrorist organization, which in return, they turned around and did the same thing to us. They labeled U.S. Central Command as a terrorist organization and all U.S. troops in the Middle East as terrorists. So basically, we've just declared war on each other, if you think about it. But before I even get to that, all right, so America, I don't know why or who gave us this authority or power, our government, but basically, we are basically banning all countries from buying oil from Iran, all right? And we gave exemptions to like certain countries, but those exemptions expire on May 2nd, all right? And Mike Pompeo came out the other day and says that the exemptions like are basically like done and they've waived them, and they basically said Iran can no longer sell oil to anybody, like nobody at all. So China and India, who are the top two purchasers, and Japan, top three purchasers of Iranian oil, like who are they going to get the oil from? Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates? Hell no. So anyways, all the oil, like a third of the world's oil, passages goes through the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is right there in Iranian territory. And Iran has the largest naval fleet in the Middle East. So they said, and I'm pretty sure they might do this, but it's going to lead to war. They said that they will block the Strait of Hormuz if they are prevented from selling oil in their own territory. All right, because then Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, they won't be able to sell their oil either, because if Iran's not selling their oil, then nobody's selling their oil, because Iran's not just going to be pushed around like that, you feel me, with all of that power they have in the Middle East. So the only place this leaves us is to fucking go to war, all right, with all our puppet Middle Eastern allies who are, going against their own people, just for the dollar of it, and Israel. All right, that's it. Israel and America are further separating themselves away from the international community of like foreign diplomacy and politics and like just managing everything. All right, we are separating ourselves and isolating ourselves in a dangerous time where we need to be cooperating with people. We need to be coming to the table and discussing things more, but instead we're just going to war tactics. All right, these sanctions are war tactics. These declaring governmental organizations or parts of the military as terrorist regimes. That's war tactics. All right, this is just stuff that's preparation and build up for war. Okay. Now another thing. Let me see. What are we getting here to? All right. So if we continue to just blindly sanction people and declare organizations as terrorist organizations, all this is going to backfire and come back full circle on us and our economy and the American people. All right, for about a decade or longer. All right, you don't know how many sleeper cells you have in this country. I'm not necessarily saying that America, can be like beat in a war by Iran, but could definitely be damaged. This is not something we should just take lightly and be like, oh, let's label the entire country of Iran as terrorists so we can go to war with them. Like, how many Iranians you think live in this country, and like are actually like pro-America, but might feel some type of way of how we're treating, Iran, or vice versa? You feel me? That's all I'm saying. All right. So the only way to try to stop this or fix this, it's kind of past the point of no return now. Ever since we withdrew out of the Iran nuclear deal, all right, it kind of like set us like 5 years back of things to try to undo. Because you know how long Obama worked on that Iran nuclear deal? Well, it was a lot of fucking hard work. That was one of Obama's greatest accomplishments, was the Iran nuclear deal. And then Trump came in and was like, oh, nah, that shit gotta go. Remove it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's basically has caused like this, like imagine a pizza dough with a bunch of holes in it. It's like, that doesn't look good. You feel me? So eventually our allies are going to feel the effects of it. And then we're going to feel the effects of it. How? By high-end oil prices. All right. Because with Iran being the main supplier and distributor of oil to that side of the world, and it's in US dollars. So it keeps the oil price fair. So now if they're not selling oil to anybody, all right, Saudi Arabia then can just up it up to whenever, because they're the only ones left to like buy from, like as far as like heavy crude oil. All right. So now we've basically left this, it's going to be a battle of like, who's going to sell oil, but who's going to sell at what price as well. But this is going to affect us in a bad way. All right. As far as like oil and the economy and inflation. But all that isn't as bad as war, right? With bombs and shit. Nobody wants that. But for some reason, that's exactly what this administration wants. John Bolton, Mike Pompeo, and all their secretaries and advisors. Apparently, we just want to go to war with Iran. And it has to be like that. We're just going around declaring everybody as terrorists. But Iran was someone who was fighting against terrorism for more than 7 years in Syria against U.S.-backed extremists and so-called moderate rebel groups, all right, who are trying to overthrow the government of Bashar al-Assad. All right, and he's still there in power, being backed by Iran and Russia. But because Iran is a supporter of sovereignty, all right, they're labeled as terrorists. That, is completely backwards. All right, and if we continue on the same path, all right, eventually America is going to be left alone in the world, and Israel, all right, and it's going to be, us against the world. And honestly, I feel like it's already gone in that direction. All right, India, they're buying their oil in rupees, all right, so they can avoid also being sanctioned. Like, nobody's going to listen to us and be like, oh yeah, we're just going to stop buying oil from Iran because you told us to. Nah, it don't work like that. You feel me? Like, all right. I don't want to go on for too long. I just wanted to go over this quickly. All right. We should not go to war with Iran. It's not a good idea. All right. And, Juan Guaido should be arrested for treason. And everything that we are doing right as regards to sanctioning Venezuela, Cuba, and Iran, and declaring the IRGC as a foreign terrorist organization, this is illegal, and this is against international law, and it should not be tolerated. All right. This is the State of the World, Vlog 5, Venezuela and Iran, reporting to you live from Miami, D to the Dre. All right. Thank you.